By what metrics do you define a bad show? Does it need boring, lackluster characters? Maybe lazy writing with narratives that aren't interesting? Maybe the main character is a pedophile? Or maybe you just don't like something. But what if I told you that you are wrong for thinking about those things and you are stupid if you think otherwise? Besides the pedophilia one. The point is, what I think truly separates 99% of media from truly abhorrent, dogshit crimes against humanity levels of bad is one simple characteristic. The ultimate sign of a bad show is when it exists to convey a message more than it does to tell a story. If I, as the viewer, can immediately tell that you're less interested in entertaining me and more interested in shoving an ideal down my throat, that's when the show, at least in my eyes, becomes truly worthless. By all means, I'm not saying you shouldn't include themes or personal beliefs in your work. That would literally be impossible. All art is political in some way, shape, or form, and yes, even this fits that description. But there comes a show that you only see once in your lifetime. A show that takes this concept to such an extreme that it isn't even entertainment at all. There is one show that stands above the rest, a show so catastrophically bad that I had to watch it 3 times just to fully comprehend the magnitude of what I was dealing with, and that show is none other than The New Norm, the world's first, and hopefully last, animated Twitter sitcom. Or X, if you want to call it that. And now that I'm thoroughly familiar with this unique disaster piece, I think it's time we take a look at Season 1 of The New Norm. The longest and first episode of The New Norm starts its humble beginnings where we're introduced to our main protagonist, Norm, a disgruntled, grumpy old man who just wishes things could go back the way they used to be. And judging by how old he looks, that might mean segregation times, but the point is, Episode 1 establishes Norm as the reasonable one. Everyone else he interacts with, besides his boss, is an extreme caricature of what a woke person supposedly acts like. His daughter is a dismissive, rebellious teenager who's obsessed with pronouns and being politically correct. Their dog is an emotional support non-binary dog. And Chaz, the government-mandated woke person sent to educate Norm on how to be a better human being, looks exactly like you'd expect a character in a right-leaning cartoon to look. Now, do you notice the problem that we encounter within the first 3 minutes that we're set inside of this universe? These characters are obviously meant to be satire. They're designed to function as the punchline for every joke in the episode. But satire only works when it reveals something that's true, when it exaggerates a reality to a comical degree in order to expose a form of hypocrisy. That's what good satire is. And there's plenty of adult cartoons that pull this off because the writers are actual humans who know what they're doing and they understand how to write jokes. But when you have a show as creatively bankrupt as The New Norm, every attempt at humor just turns into a political opinion with a laugh track slapped over it. And like I said earlier, if you really wanted to make a cartoon that makes fun of the opposing political party, you absolutely could. There's plenty of material to work with, but that would require writing jokes instead of outsourcing your creative process to AI. But I digress. Let's move on to Episode 2. Episode 2 tries to dive into deeper subject matter. Things like political division, ideological clashes, and it even hints at the idea of American unity. But that one sentence that I just said is more thoughtfully put together than this entire episode. Another problem that immediately rears its ugly head is just how bland and tasteless the humor of this show actually is. There's no subtlety, there's no build-up, there's no kind of real jokes here. They just throw shit at the wall and hope that something sticks. And I'm sorry for the fans of the show watching this, but once again, it is just painfully unfunny. Donald Trump and Elon Musk go to space in a rocket ship, and a gay drag queen DEI hire crashes a penis-shaped rocket into Vladimir Putin. That's about the gist of the entire episode. I guess I can also talk about Hillary Clinton trying to snipe Donald Trump, which is clearly referencing the real-life assassination attempt on him. And I understand the appeal of using modern political references as material. South Park has been doing this for a very, very long time. But what you fail to realize is that you are not South Park, you are the new norm. You are utter dog shit. The episodes are getting shorter and shorter, which is genuinely astounding because I can't imagine the budget of an AI-generated slop show being very high to begin with. But once again, this episode focuses on political division and bickering between the American citizens. And oh my god, the dialogue in this episode is just so horrible. The characters just repeat themselves ad nauseum. It's just a back and forth of, you're stupid. No, you're stupid. No, you're stupid.
Your side hates Jews.
Your side hates
No,
Jews.
your side hates
Your
Jews.
side hates
Your
Jews.
side hates Jews.
Your
Your
side
side
hates
hates
Jews.
Now, I understand the idea that they're going for. It's supposed to represent the circular arguments that political debates usually turn into when neither side wants to admit that any of them are wrong. But Jesus Christ! Would it have killed you to spend more than 5 minutes writing the shitty dialogue for your low-effort show? It genuinely feels like an insult to your intelligence, sitting through the most forced, robotic interaction between 4 characters that I'm somehow supposed to believe are actual human beings. Norm's wife also makes an appearance here as the symbolic centrist that tries to make everyone happy but fails to accomplish anything. And that's about the entirety of the episode. Let's move on. Episodes 4 and 5 are only about a minute long, so I'm just going to combine them both for continuity's sake since they both take place in the same scenario. Chaz creates a meme coin, it flops, then Norm makes his own meme coin, which is actually taking off, except he forgot his crypto wallet. Oh no. And that's the entire plot. There isn't really any overarching political message here, aside from the usual surface level stuff the show likes to throw around. I will say, the funniest joke in the entire series actually shows up in episode 4. Chaz is panicking while watching his meme coin plummet in value. Norm pops up from the side and asks, "What's wrong? Is your computer binary?" Now, that line is single-handedly the only real joke this show has managed to produce. Now, I'm not saying it was a great joke. In fact, it wasn't even a good one. But for the first time since this show's inception, we see actual attempts to improve. Now that is what I call progress. In the end, what can I really say about this show that hasn't already been said? I'm definitely not the first person to drag the new norm through the mud, and something tells me I definitely won't be the last. This show is uniquely memorable for how jarringly, horrendously, abhorrently, slap 10 more different ways of describing something bad it is. And that's a feat I firmly believe no other piece of media will ever be able to take away from it. Because no self-respecting creative would go as far as to make something even half as shitty as this. There's a reason you can barely find any information about the people credited for working on this show. Every once in a while, I remember the new norm, and I use it as a cautionary tale, a reminder to never, ever let myself become as uninspired, lazy, and creatively bankrupt as anyone who voluntarily worked on this project. So what's the future of the new norm? Well, as of right now, there hasn't been any new episodes, which honestly might be for the best. Who knows if it'll ever make a comeback, but rest assured, I'll be here and I'll watch it. Why? Well, I'm kind of a masochist.